Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your host, Kaylee here, and you are tuning into episode 215. I'm glad we're going to be talking about adversity today because this is the third time I'm recording the same episode. You would think someone who has recorded 215 episodes would have her microphone figured out, but for some reason, I'm still having issues. We'll just leave it at that. And so I'm recording from back in my office from my computer, and hopefully this is better sound for you and I can go all in on getting my message across. I am fresh back to the office after what I have to call maybe the most epic weekend in KLC history. And there have been many. So this is saying a lot. Our team just wrapped up the inaugural Alt Experience, a transformative weekend curated for alternative thinking, dynamic leadership, and high growth business strategies shared by the most incredible mission-driven women in aesthetics and wellness. Now, listen, the idea behind this event, really, when we talked about it, was at our leadership retreat, our academy retreat last year. And a bunch of the women were like, we're sitting around the fire, having a glass of wine. And we're like, oh my gosh, we should have our own conference and we should bring what we do in the academy out to the world. And so the idea was to really curate the snapshot for women all over the country of what it's like for members inside our Pop Leadership Academy who heavily invest in their personal and professional growth as a key pillar to building a deeply satisfying, freedom-based business that allows them to live their best lives. And, one of the challenges I've had building my own business is accessing authentic advisory around what it really requires to be a woman who thrives wearing all the hats in her life. In particular, the nuances of our industry make it this idea of doing it all kind of look effortless, right? We're an industry that's fabricated upon the aesthetic around perception or optics. But what I know through my experience working with hundreds of high growth women who have achieved enviable financial success, and I'm talking multi-millions in take-home earnings every year, not just gross revenue for their business, is that many of them are burned out and out of love with their business. And the ones who aren't, and yes, they do exist, and I work with many of them, is that they have built their lives in a way where their business is an integral part of their total success blueprint. That's one that favors a formula for success that belongs to them and only them, meaning they don't ask about averages. They compete with only themselves, and they raise the bar for themselves in multiple areas of their life, be it their health, wealth, impact, relationships, and pleasure. And I have a question for you. Have you ever gone to a conference and looked at someone on stage and thought, wow, I want to be like that. I want to be someone who other people look up to, who admire, who has a story to tell that will captivate and inspire people? Well, first of all, you do. And secondly, so do many of the women that I personally have had the privilege of working with as a leadership advisor and mentor. In fact, much of my inspiration as a female founder is truly ignited by the awe that I feel watching and learning from my own clients. But not everyone gets to have a bird's eye view like I do. In fact, the climate of our society makes business ownership sound like it's just another certification to put on your wall. Like as if you're supposed to come out of working for someone else or even straight out of school and just pop open a business because you feel excited to make money at your craft. For those of you who are surviving the wild of entrepreneurship, owning a business and leading a team is not that. It's far from a weekend camp out. And yet what happens is it looks so damn sexy because we talk about the millions we make in our sleep and the photo shoots and the grand openings and rebrands. And I make my own schedule and la, 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 la. But behind it all, is, oh, I don't know, a woman who can't remember all the clothes she buys online and never returns because she's too tired to try them on and they hang in her closet until it's too late to take them back. And she doesn't really want to go anywhere anyway. Oh, wait, maybe that's just me. Okay, but truly, the shit that goes on between our two ears. You aren't good enough as a leader. Why would people want to work for you? Why does no one understand? Why do I do everything around here? When am I going to be able to breathe? Can I afford that? Should I take my team on a retreat? Should I pay them more? What if they leave and I'm stuck carrying the bag? Where do I go from here? What's the next right step? What will people think? I'm maxed out on space and I need to expand, but I'm emotionally and physically tapped out. Why is everyone around me so skinny? Am I still attractive? I need to let that person go, but I don't want to deal with the aftermath. Shall I keep going? Ever seen anyone post on Instagram bragging about the actual things inside of their mind? Of course not. That would mean I'm weak and I don't have it all together. You see, it's an interesting phenomenon, being human, that is, because being human is actually what makes us successful in every other arena of our lives. As parents, students, employees, as partners, friends, spouses, think about it. We're expected to be human, to relate to other people, to learn, to grow, to not have it all together. But for some reason, the minute we're a boss, we're just supposed to bid farewell to humanism and become a robot who should just know everything. But really, I often say that entrepreneurship is the single most powerful magnifying mirror into personal development because the tiny insecurities, the fears, the past traumas, the internal conflicts that we, for a while, push down while we're running about our day-to-day activities, well, they can no longer be suppressed because the buck stops with us. Hiring someone to work for you, well, if you have perfectionist or control issues, good luck. If you're a people pleaser and you're trying to minimize your patient list so you can transition out of your provider role and take on more responsibility as a visionary leader, good luck. If you have commitment issues and you need to sign a 5-year contract, good luck. If your mom only rewarded you when you worked hard, well, stepping back and enjoying your success, good luck. That might feel like failure to you. This is all part of the survival game. And the truth is, most advice for women like us is focused on the tactical pieces of business. What EMR to use, which laser to buy, what to put in a contract, where to open a new location. And these are all valuable questions to seek answers to. But what I see most women struggling with is living in a habit loop of asking superficial questions that they could figure out on their own, but they're trying to avoid the real deep work that it takes to survive the mind game of entrepreneurship. Like, one of the things I'll hear is, well, improve your conversion rates and your sales will improve. Okay, well, maybe, but not if you're unable to emotionally self-regulate and create an environment where your team feels empowered to try and fail and grow. So my message isn't to avoid learning the fundamentals of building a great business. I mean, this is why we designed an entire year-long academy at KLC that teaches women how to build a business their grandma can run. But my point is that if you aren't keenly aware that your personal development is directly tied to your business growth, you are driving asleep at the wheel. This weekend at Alt, we talked about the pillars of defining success on our own terms. Because most of the chaos going on inside our heads is the result of misalignment from what makes us feel good, what our body, mind, and spirit want, versus what we're actually spending our time doing. In simple terms, I asked our audience to write down what's important to them via a framework we've built at KLC that is what I call a personal success blueprint, and then open their calendar for the coming week and add up how many hours they're spending on those high-value activities. For most, there was a dramatic misalignment. And listen, my business is my passion in so many ways, like I'm sure for you. This isn't to say that there is any shame in working ridiculous hours on something you love. But instead, I offer this as a permission slip to block time, to set boundaries, and to enroll accountability to help you stay on track to the things that matter most in your life. If you're spending hours cleaning your house or grocery shopping and that's not a high value pillar for you personally, outsource it. For me, this weekend was a dream come true in so many ways. I shared with the women who were there a basic tenet of what I value as success. Ultimately, it's a nod to the culmination of years of overcoming adversity, finding my purpose, and staying true to myself. And honestly, I think that's the biggest flex there is in a society that's programming us to value instant gratification and external validation. And this is what I admire most about the thought leaders that I invited to speak at Alt. Because unlike most talks they're giving on stage or should be giving, and that's a story for another podcast, they agreed to share their biggest failures. And I mean epic devastations, like losing their best employees to starting a business down the street, learning that their business partner was stealing from them, turning over multiple practice managers, losing $1 million worth of inventory because it was left outside of a climate-controlled warehouse and that distribution partner had no insurance to back up that product, debilitating health scares that would require not working in the practice for months on end. So many horrific circumstances that truly could take someone out of the game. And the beautiful theme that emerged through all of their stories of loss was an unstoppable strength gained through the experience of overcoming these adversities. Over the past year, I've been pondering this question. Why, if we have so much access to information, social media, coaches, mentors, podcasts, YouTube, masterminds, artificial intelligence, for goodness sake, industry reps, devices, tools, technologies, conferences, why isn't everyone already a multimillionaire? Why, in an era where there's an overwhelming amount of intellectual knowledge for entrepreneurs, do most businesses still fail? So while I was sitting around for hours upon hours in Colorado last summer at Cooper's lacrosse tournament, I started journaling on this. I was thinking back to the past few years of scaling and uncovering why someone like me, who has a business degree and a decade of experience climbing the corporate ladder in Fortune 500, still struggled through the early years of entrepreneurship. And what emerged were some illuminating insights I had to admit to myself. One, I was in a hurry to get out of the pain I felt by having 2 coaches I was training and them not being fully booked yet. And I was making impulsive marketing decisions like over-investing in PR and brand visibility, only to attract the attention of clientele who weren't aligned with our philosophy, hence creating more busy work for myself and for my team, making everyone more exhausted and less focused and productive on the work that made us a highly sought after company by our most valuable customers. Meanwhile, I'm dumping cash into investments that could have just been saved and stayed in the bank account by slowing down my schedule and working more intently with my team members. Number 2, I was carrying around a false belief that I needed to have a lower price service to bring clients into our ecosystem. Therefore, I was diluting our focus and impact with the clients who were the best fit at the right time for our higher tier programming. And number 3, I felt very alone. Like I was building my team, and they're asking for more and more autonomy. And I felt equal amounts of pressure to carry the ultimate responsibility for their outcomes. And this was producing a lot of anxiety and stress, ultimately putting me on my heels. And then what do I end up doing? Jumping in to save the day before my team had the opportunity to fail forward. So I started looking at myself and the shared struggles many of our clients face going through this inflection point of scaling up. And what came of this exercise was a realization that the black and white business models we learn in our MBAs have zero relevance to what's actually inside the mind of a female entrepreneur. You heard what I said. The illuminating insights I admitted to myself were 1, I was in pain and in a hurry to get out of pain. Number 2, I was carrying around false beliefs. And number 3, I was feeling lonely. Essentially, business is a mind game. Most women learn and learn and learn and learn and tell themselves that this is making them better. But growth actually comes through implementation and failure. So the reason the knowledge society we are architecting through conference business tracks is mostly useless is because we don't have the skills to overcome the shit that happens when we go back to our business, implement those tactics, and they don't work. You can have an airtight employee contract, but if that employee hates their job and stays because they have to, they will methodically erode your company culture and poison your business while you pay them to do it. And ladies, the sooner we realize that motivating our team comes by being a leader who demonstrates the values we expect in team members, the sooner we will be able to experience sustainable freedom in our business and lives. If you were at Alt, you watched thought leaders talk about their success strategies. You know what they were? Grit, accountability, failing forward, resilience, introspection, self-trust, playing the slow game, and building a rock-solid foundation that reminds you who the fuck you are. And these are the lessons my business degree did not prepare me for. When I left Colorado, I decided to take that journal and use it to help others realize that they're not alone. The lonely feeling of entrepreneurial struggle is shared across the board. The difference between the ones who fail and the ones who succeed is the willingness to get up and dust themselves off again and again and again. And no one can do that alone. It takes an intentional decision to resource yourself with a team, mentorship, and a community who will encourage you to get up and to continue forward when you feel like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm excited to share with you this very journal that inspired the tenets of the Alt experience, a vulnerable inside look at what it takes to go from a talented practitioner to a powerhouse founder through stories from women who have walked the path ahead of you and slayed the same dragons that you're slaying. I'm calling this the diary of a female entrepreneur. This is now available to you in the form of a 45-page ebook, peering into the intimate and often overlooked dialogues of female entrepreneurs, revealing the gritty truth of starting a business from the ground up and the unspoken challenges along the way. You can access your copy at klcconsultants.com/diary. As I continue to really settle into the power of the Alt experience, I'm repeatedly reminded that success is a very personal journey. It's not about rushing, racing, or climbing to beat someone to go anywhere, but instead a remarkable voyage of transforming into the woman who I'm called to become in this lifetime. And my wish for you is that you give yourself grace and remember that you're right where you're meant to be, and there is a gift in the opportunity in front of you. Okay, leader, thanks for tuning in. I will chat with you same place, same time next week.
Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working across the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.